Welcome to Forensic Friday,
where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all. Hello.
Hi, we just acted all day.
I know. Hi, forensic friends. We put on a show all day today for
Well,
profit.
you were there all day. I was there from 1 till 4.
Yeah, we had to pretend to run a group, which was honestly, it would have been easier to just run a group. Did you feel that way?
Yes.
I was
Well, it
like,
was funny because
let me
you and
go.
I are such spitfires in group.
Mm-hmm.
I had to look at you and I was like, Janine, we have to be nice. We have to run this like a therapy group.
Well, and it was breaking my brain because I don't know what the person coordinating was telling these men their stories was. She like whispered their story into their ear. And Nat and I go in pretty hard when there's victim blaming or there's this or that. And these are actors, okay? They're just actors.
I literally looked at Janine and I was like, they are not actually in our group. We have to do this differently.
I know. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. And they did not consent to therapy today. So we need to just
Uh-huh.
pretend. But also, I think a lot of them were tempted to use stories that were close to them because that feels more authentic. So she gave them kind of stories to share, but I don't know that they fully understood what we were talking about. So it'll be good. It's fundraising. It's fine. Hanging out
Well,
with
there's no
actors.
audio.
There's no audio. Hanging out with the actors all day is wild. That part was kind of wild. They were all very nice.
Super nice.
So we did that all day. We're both feeling a little under the weather, but we are going to power through because we're going to do a really interesting case.
Yeah.
And I've been processing the mini for a couple days too. I was just telling Nat, driving home tonight, just processing more about just how many women have stories like mine. I think most women do.
Mhm.
And what are you supposed to do with that as a 40 something year old woman who works with abusive men for a living? It's just weird. It's a
Mhm.
weird place to sit. But tonight we're going to talk about the opposite,
Yeah.
which is wild but important. And I will tell you why. We got into this in the mini a little bit about why allegedly is such a hot button term. And it's interesting because people come at it both ways and get a kick out of it. If you're a true crime nut, then you appreciate allegedly because it's very kind of like tongue in cheek. Like, yeah, allegedly also like he did it,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
But then also allegedly in a legal sense is a really important term because if we're
Uh-huh.
innocent until proven guilty in a court of law,
Mhm.
we can't be treated like we're guilty until we've had an appropriate
Yep.
opportunity to defend ourselves,
Yep.
right? And so even thinking about that in light of what happened to me, I'm like, well, I don't give two shits if it's alleged. It's not allegedly to me, right? But I do understand that the process is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But even in a small way, I can understand why this is so painful for people who've been hurt to have to wait through a process while everybody makes excuses and talks about it like it didn't happen or make it your fault.
Right.
She came on to me. She was in her room alone. She'd been flirting with me before. I thought it was consensual. I mean, I can just hear
Mm-hmm.
all the things. And even at the time, I could hear it. So you may have guessed, but the case that we're doing that would be kind of the opposite would be a false reporting case.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about one of the biggest ones of all time, the Duke Lacrosse case. So do you
Yeah, this
remember
one's
this one,
big.
Nat? 2006.
Yes, I do remember. I was a sophomore in high school in 2006.
That's impossible. You were in college.
2006?
Wait, I started college in 2006.
And this happened in 2006?
Yeah, when did you go to college?
2007.
You're so much younger than me. You're younger than I realize.
I know. 3.5 years? About
Hmm?
3.5 years, I think.
That's wild. That is
Hmm.
wild. I was starting at Densem then.
Oh, you went straight from college to Densem.
Mhm.
Oh, well, yeah,
Oh, right in.
there you go.
There you go. So
Yeah, I
you
took it.
so you have like a loose memory of this, but maybe not all the details.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was explosive and it took up so much space. Statistically, false reports do happen, but it's like 2 to 8%, and 8%
Right.
feels high.
Yeah.
People act like this happens all the time. Does not happen all the time.
Yeah.
I've only had a few cases in my career where there's been a false reporting case. Like literally somebody got charged with false reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always females who do this either. Is the
Yeah.
other thing. I've had a handful of male clients over the years who false reported something as well.
Yeah.
But I think it is the perception at least is that it's women are more likely to do this
Mm-hmm.
for attention or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And also not for nothing when you talk about having a rape kit done and that kind of stuff, like come on y'all. That's not, you don't just go like sign up for that. You know what I
Right.
mean? This is
Right.
not, and it takes a special kind of pathology to take things to that level,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, if you compare, if 2 to 8% of reporting incidents out there are false reports, over 60% of real sexual assaults go completely unreported.
Mm-hmm.
So our posture towards victims, towards people who report, needs to be that we believe victims, period, end of story.
Mm-hmm.
So the point that we want to make tonight is not that we don't believe victims immediately. We need to approach victims and believe them.
Mm-hmm.
What we also need is hopefully a fair judicial system, which we don't always get,
Mm-hmm.
to go through the facts and to put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, this was not a fair approach to the evidence. It just wasn't. And it
Right.
ruined some lives,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So here's a question for you, Natters. Why do false accusation cases get more attention, like disproportionate attention, compared to real actual cases?
Well, my initial thought is it happens way less.
Mm. So it's like the unicorn effect?
Yeah. And the stories are usually pretty heinous.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, here's the thing. I remember the case like roughly because I was in high school, but I don't fully remember it being a false report,
Interesting.
right? So like I think a lot of the false reported situations are said to be so heinous that they get big media news.
Mm.
And then because false reporting happens so little that it's like this is, it becomes a big deal. And it points out the mental health of the person who made the false report.
Yes. I'm wondering too, Nat. I mean, how do we ethically cover these kinds of stories without contributing to harmful narratives about women making stuff up? Because I think
Hmm.
there's a real misogyny in media in our world where women are seen more often as hysterical, exaggerating. I mean, the whole reason that I didn't report was because I didn't want to get lumped in with what was happening to these women at
Hmm.
CU at the same time that this happened to me.
Hmm.
And my story was not hysterical, out there, whatever, but I was afraid of being lumped in with that. So how can we cover this case tonight without doing damage that way?
I think it's important to make known that this can happen,
Hmm.
right? And so while it's very few, it doesn't happen very often, it's still important to talk about and talk about the impact that it does have on the individuals that are essentially the victims, right? Like,
Hmm. In this case, well, that now that's a discussion. Put a pin in that
right,
one because I'm going to come back
right.
around to this because I would argue that everyone involved in this night had a rough go for a few reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I want to keep central in the story is the importance of critical thinking and due process.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. It's important for victims and it's important for people who are accused of a crime. And when it comes to ethical true crime, we are going to have opinions. Nat and I, this is an entertaining podcast. We are entertainment. We also have an expertise that we bring to the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
but we are not diagnosing people formally. We don't interview these people. That's not what this is. And so even giving our input, our 2 cents, weekly when we do these cases,
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a good reminder that with ethical true crime, we have to just kind of sometimes wait things out. We might say an opinion, but be clear that it's an opinion. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just CYA. And I think this case is a good reminder of that.
Mm-hmm.
I would have bet money that these boys did this based on the information that we had.
Yeah.
And I want to know what you think as I lay it out.
Okay.
So here's the background. March 2006, in an off campus house rented by members of the Duke Lacrosse team. In one of my sources, I used major magazine articles for this, including some local news at the time, local to Duke University, and then also some more major news sites and magazines. One of the things that was interesting, I read in one place that the home was actually rented by the captains of the team who were the older boys who were hosting this party. I wasn't able to confirm that all the way through, but that was one of the things was like some of the ownership fell on this because they were the ones who kind of set this up. So the team decides we're going to have a spring break party because they were practicing over spring break. They hired 2 strippers, dancers, exotic dancers, via an escort service. And the dancers that were sent were Crystal Mangum and Kim Roberts.
Okay.
Okay. The initial allegation after a super chaotic night, Mangum claims she was sexually assaulted by 3 players: Reed Seligman, Colin Finnerty, and David Evans. And it explodes. National media, Duke suspended the lacrosse season, full stop,
Mm-hmm.
just suspended, done. The head coach resigned under the pressure. And in one of the criticisms I read was when he resigned, it initially looked like he was fired, which made them look guilty, right? So canceling the season, it looks like something went very wrong. Head coach resigns, but it looks like a firing. That looks bad. Campus protests are happening, and the case becomes a lightning rod for issues of class, race, privilege, and gender. So one of the women was biracial and one of the women was black. Crystal was black.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to what actually happened in the house, here's the best picture I can draw based on a lot of different people's reports.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These dancers show up. The team had chipped in. The players are intoxicated. Mangum, there were reports that she was under the influence of alcohol and possibly like muscle relaxers like Flexeril. And she appeared impaired and disorganized, according to the other dancer and some of the men who were there. Like she was out of sorts. The dancer's performance was short and chaotic, and the boys start getting rowdy and angry. And they start making some racially charged comments. One man, one of the boys, men who was there, said, "We requested 2 white dancers." And the tension got so bad between the players and the dancers,
Dang.
that they locked themselves in the bathroom. The dancers ended up locking themselves in the bathroom.
Ugh.
They came out, they tried to dance again. According to them, they went back into the bathroom. I don't know if the boys agree with that narrative or not. It's a lot of different reports that happen.
Okay.
Roberts tried to help. So the second dancer tried to help get Mangum kind of out of the house. Like, come on, girl, like, let's get out of here. She's trying to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
her
yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
And they end up getting into a fight. So they're shoving, slapping, yelling between the two of them.
Oh my gosh.
Players now are starting to get them out of the house. Roberts storms out and goes to her car. Mangum stayed in the house. She was confused and she was slow to follow. Mangum sat in Robert's car when she finally did leave the house, crying, insisting that she'd been hurt.
Mm,
Roberts starts getting pissed because she's like, get out of my car. Like, she's over Crystal. She's like, girl, get out of my car. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Mangum refused to leave. Later, she was found by police intoxicated, but she
mhm.
was found by police intoxicated, disoriented, and making statements of assault. Kim Roberts, the second dancer, never saw an assault that Crystal was subjected to, but she wasn't in the home with her the whole time.
Right.
She called the story false in an email. And then she later said she thought that Mangum was genuinely distressed, but
Mm,
was not assaulted at the party. And noted again that she was highly intoxicated before anything happened, that Mangum was,
mm,
right? Here's the kicker. And then I want to talk with you about this. After the party, one Duke player, who I don't think was one of the three who ended up getting getting, oh, what am I trying to say? Incriminated? I don't know, whatever. Uh, the player who did this, I don't think was actually one of the three.
okay.
Okay. After the party, one Duke player sent an infamous, disturbing email referencing the movie American Psycho. If I had a dime for every time this freaking movie, American Psycho, has come up with our teens, our, college kids, whatever, it became a staple for
Mm-hmm.
just bad crap, like
Mm-hmm.
bad male behavior. And it's about a literal psychopath killer. So
Right.
cool. Here's what the email said. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's just, ugh, it's not long, but it's awful.
Okay.
He said he wanted to, quote, invite more dancers, quote, and, quote, kill them and skin them,
Wow.
end quote. Vile, racist, misogynistic, super inflammatory. That email was released during the investigation. So then the media is in a frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
And it reinforced the idea that these boys, these players, which I struggle to call them boys because we're talking 18, these are men, but they're acting like boys. It reinforced the idea that this was a violent, misogynistic culture of this team that called these strippers. And it was used by the prosecution to suggest depravity, even though it was not related to the allegation. Like, this wasn't the kid, but this was used to sort of paint with a broad brush what this lacrosse team was up to
Mm-hmm.
and maybe what they believed and thought. So my question for you is, how much does somebody's awful behavior influence whether or not they're guilty of a crime? How much does their unrelated behavior, and
Influence
maybe
that?
even how much should it? Like,
Well, I don't think it should if they didn't do the crime that they're being accused of, even if they've done shitty behavior before.
but what if they're investigating and they find all of this crappy stuff? Like, somebody sends that email
Right.
after this party.
Right. Um, my emotional brain wants to say, yeah, use it as information. My logical brain says no, because people do shitty things and say shitty things and still don't sexually assault people
Yep.
or kill them, right? So, yeah, emotional me is like, yeah, the little jerks, the little assholes, right? But the logical part, it's like, no, that has no merit for that.
This is what is making me nuts. Even as you're talking about it, I'm sitting here going, it's the two sides of the freaking coin. Because on the one hand, when I assess someone for psychopathy, I'm looking at lifelong patterns of attitudes and behaviors, right? Misogyny is beliefs. We know that with domestic violence, a lot of times it's intergenerational. They saw and heard and whatever when they were kids, and
Mhm.
they've perpetuated it. Even in my outline, when I was piecing this together, I read an article that talked about how juvenile misogyny is not proof of sexual assault. And I'm like, true. Okay, so juvenile misogyny, saying stupid crap, especially as a kid, isn't proof later that they sexually assaulted someone.
Mhm.
Boy, does it indicate an attitude and a possible belief that makes that ripe to happen,
Mhm.
doesn't it? I mean, think about it. Like, if we're trying to establish a pattern, or if somebody comes back for a second domestic violence,
Right.
right? Do we look at the first or do we
Yeah.
just look at the second? We do. So,
Yeah. Yeah, but here's the thing though, like yes and if what someone's doing isn't illegal, like you can say stupid shit,
mhm.
right? I mean, you can't really threaten, you obviously can't threaten someone, that's violence, but you can say stupid stuff and still not be, I don't know. Like when we look at first domestic violence offenses, that makes sense.
Yeah, but what if that's up for debate? So let's say man and a woman,
Hmm.
okay? The man has a prior DV
Hmm.
and the current one is there's a broken phone, okay?
Hmm.
Either person, her phone, his phone, doesn't really matter. There's a broken phone.
Hmm.
She says he broke it, he says she broke it. He
Hmm.
says she broke it and said I'm gonna get you arrested again. She says he broke it. That's what he does.
Hmm.
Literally written into the law in Colorado when they're trying to figure out who's at fault, they look at your history.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. This is saying it versus doing it, but also like
Well, it's
two
saying it versus
people just
doing it, and
got
it's
whipped up.
not. Right. I mean, I get what you're saying. I do. Because I would want to look at patterns as well. And here's the
Of course.
thing, that person probably has terrible relationships.
Oh, I'm not sure that this person doesn't have his own
Right.
terrible things happening.
Right.
Absolutely. Oh, if I was his mama, are you kidding me?
Right. But it's like it's hard when
Mm-hmm.
it's just hard when it's not something that you can like put a pin in it. You know, like it
Yeah.
wasn't illegal for him to say something really stupid and wild.
Yes.
And it doesn't also mean that he did the thing.
And that's the importance then of evidence,
Right.
right? Particularly obviously in a sexual assault case. But I just find that interesting, like from a devil's advocate position. It's like, wait, we do actually look at patterns. I think that's why the prosecution went in so hard and the media went in
Yeah.
so hard. But the problem is when they
And
got,
rightfully so.
rightfully so to a degree, but the problem
Yeah.
is the three men at the center of this
Hmm.
didn't like it fell apart really quickly. So for Reed Seligman on ATMs and phone records at the time of the alleged assault, he was literally like he went to an ATM
Hmm.
probably to get
Yeah.
more cash. I mean, this is the thing that's so shitty. Like what was happening there was terrible. I'm sorry. That was scary. I believe those women were frightened and I believe that was a terrible situation. Reed Seligman was not there when the alleged assault happened. He was not there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a taxi driver that verified transporting him. Okay.
Mm.
Colin Finnerty was at a different residence during the window of the alleged assault. He wasn't even there.
Wow.
And there's multiple independent witnesses to that. And
And
then
then the
David,
case made it that far.
yes, that's what I'm saying. And
Wow.
then David Evans had no physical evidence tying him to Mangum and had a strong alibi and corroboration.
Mm-hmm.
The DNA from multiple other men found on Mangum, like none of it was from
Any of
these
these guys.
players. Yes. They found DNA on her. It wasn't from any of these players.
So she maybe had like a gig earlier that night.
Could be. Yeah. There were time-stamped photographs that contradicted the allegations.
Mm.
Not only that, her narrative was shifting and changing, which can happen with victims of assault,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was shifting and changing quite a bit,
Mm.
right? And then from a behavioral perspective, she was kind of all over the place and impaired. Could have dissociated. Like one of the things that was noted in a lot of places was she might have had a little bit of dissociation and substance abuse happening. So there's probably a lot going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was true across her life. So substance abuse, impulsive crisis behavior, volatile relationships, contradictory narratives. That was true most of her life. So let me give you her history real quick, and then I want to know
Okay.
what you think of this.
Okay.
2002, she stole a taxi and had a high-speed chase. Took a taxi,
Wow.
refused to pay, and then attempted to escape in said taxi. There's a police chase, DWI, larceny, and eluding arrest. Those were her charges. 2006, the Duke incident happened. She was not charged for false reporting due to concerns about her mental instability.
Mm.
One of my questions there is I wonder if there was any kind of intervention.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that there was. I don't know if there was or not.
Yeah.
2010 domestic incident and arson. She set
Mm.
clothes on fire in a bathtub during an argument with her boyfriend. This is very waiting to exhale. Children were
Mm-hmm.
present, and she was charged with attempted murder, arson, and child abuse. Mhm.
Wow.
And then 2011, she stabbed her boyfriend, Reginald Day,
Mm.
during a violent altercation. He died from complications, like I want to say it was a couple of days later, a couple weeks later, something like that. He did not die from the stabbing. He died from complications in the hospital. So that was a whole complicated thing too.
I'm surprised. What did she get charged with?
Second degree murder.
Okay.
I think she got charged with first degree, convicted of second degree. He
Okay.
claimed self-defense, suggesting mutual violence in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Day had criminal history, including violent offenses. Not necessarily domestic. I didn't go too deep into his history, but he was a violent human as well.
Wow.
Hmm. So one of the things that came out, and this is interesting from a female, bidirectional violence perspective, there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of um, concern and momentum around the idea that she had endured physical violence in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
but was also engaged in chaotic, coercive, and mutually aggressive dynamics with her partners. And obviously, then there's a trauma history, right?
Right. Dang.
What are your thoughts on Miss Crystal?
She's complex.
Yes.
She's very complex. She has a complex history. I sometimes have a hard time talking about women. I kind of said this to our women's group one time. I
Mm-hmm.
have a hard time talking about women and two women in the same way that I talk about and two men,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like if this whole situation was reversed, I would say like, well, he doesn't like women because he's been probably significantly hurt by his mom. You
Mhm.
know,
Or
so,
just thinks that's how you control women.
or that's how you
How
control
about that? Yeah.
women. With her and especially the Duke situation, I just wonder if there's like a part of her that wants just revenge on men, to be honest.
That's interesting. So maybe she's the type of female offender that says never again, or that's not going to happen to me, or, you know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if they were that disrespectful to her, like she could just have wanted to take it further
Mhm.
to hurt them, maybe as bad as she was feeling hurt in that moment.
Oh, and they felt hurt in that moment. I mean, I think
Yeah.
by all accounts, it got pretty
Mm-hmm.
unruly over
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a part of me that wonders if she just wants if she was just kind of like
there.
revenge on men. Maybe dissociated,
Could be.
maybe was so intoxicated that she made up this narrative. I don't know. But with that type of history and then also like killing her boyfriend,
Yeah.
there's some rage in there.
Burning his stuff in a bathtub with a
Yeah,
child in
no.
the home. I mean, oh yeah.
No, yeah. She feels a little primary aggressory to me,
I I see that. I
you
see
know?
that.
I'm
Yes.
sure she's been victimized, but she seems a little primary. She seems like a primary.
Yes. That is not a stretch when you read about her stuff. Now,
Hmm.
what I will say is I don't think her boyfriend was pushover. And so when we say primary, was she in control of him? Based on what I found out about him, probably not.
Hmm.
But I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think she could go left, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
When we're talking about how this blew up in multiple places and ways, Mike Nifong was the prosecutor in the case. He withheld the DNA evidence,
Wow.
lied to the court. This is a
Oh
prosecutor.
no. Oh,
Inflamed the case publicly. So he went in hard on this case. Kept pursuing charges even though the evidence was collapsing. So as
he's
he's finding out the alibis and everything, he just keeps going.
he seems triggered.
He was trying to win re-election. So
Oh.
he was playing this case a little bit for political gain.
Oh no.
And yeah, he'd
And he
misjudged.
lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lost that big time.
Yeah. Woo, epic fail.
That is a hard loss.
Mike, you hate to see it.
Oh no.
Oh, Mike, you just, yeah. He ended up getting disbarred.
I believe that.
Not only was he disbarred, Nat, he was jailed for contempt. And then
I
this
believe that.
this case is held up as an example of wrongful prosecution and confirmation bias. So
There's that.
not only did he like do the thing, but now he's like the example of what not to do. That's all. That's hard.
That's a bad day.
That's a bad day. You know what? And he earned it. He earned it.
I mean, you know what? If you're gonna full send it like that, you gotta expect
No,
full
and
send in
listen,
return.
I hate what happened to these women anyway. That
Hmm.
was a bad situation for those
Hmm.
women. I'm sorry. And
Hmm.
those men had no business doing what they were doing. That was bad. And I think most parents, I would hope, would be disappointed. Most universities, most coaches. Like, I would hope that people would have higher standards than that. They also did not sexually assault her. They just didn't do it. None of them did. So the Duke administration was criticized for so many reasons, partially because the actions they took, which is wild to me because in the hunting grounds, these poor women are trying to get any school to take this seriously. Any school.
Right, right.
Duke was like, not it. I mean, they were basically like, coach sucks, kids suck, everything sucks. We're out. We're
Mhm.
not defending them. We're not. They didn't want any of this on them because it looked so bad.
Mhm.
But meanwhile, these three men ended up, I mean, their reputations were really harmed
Mhm.
in this whole thing. I mean, terribly,
Mhm. I believe it.
right? And then there was, stereotyping on both sides and confirmation bias and all the things.
Mhm.
And so one of the lessons I think for us is as true crime podcasters in particular, accuracy is more important than narrative. So like Brian Koberger did the thing. I'm sorry. If you look
Right.
at the evidence you can see it now. You can see everything you should be able to see. You shouldn't be able to see crime scene photos. I'm really sorry you're not going to get to look at that before bed, you weirdo. Okay? Like
Mhm.
no one
Mhm.
needs to see that, but the
Mhm.
evidence is really clear. And when you look at the affidavit that led to his arrest and all of it,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, it's in there. It's in
Yep.
there. They have everything they needed to have.
Yep.
And the family will say that very clearly. They had
Yep.
what they needed. The family's convinced that's good enough for me.
Yep.
But you have people on TikTok and on podcasts trying to analyze audio like there's some kind of expert, whatever.
Mhm.
We have to be responsible in this space, I think. And it's important to tell these stories and to discuss these things. But one of the things that I'm proud of us about, Nat, is we are really trying to tie it
Mhm.
to real things and to encourage safety and prevention and all that good stuff, treatment,
Mhm.
breaking intergenerational patterns. Like that's what we're driving this whole thing towards. I think true
Yep.
crime just to true crime, it's not always ethical how these things are treated.
Right. Right.
So if you're a consumer of true crime, I would make sure you're having some high standards in that regard too,
Mhm.
because of the
You know,
people involved.
yeah. It's really interesting. This is reminding me. So, with our little acting bit today, with our
Mhm.
actors, I
Ama-
was sitting with this one woman at the very end of the evening or afternoon, and she was so sweet. She was like, "Yeah, I actually am a career therapist or career counselor at CSU." And she's like, "But I just got into this like 3 years ago." And she was like, "I'm 65." And I was like, "So you just like full sent it into a passion that you have?" She's like, "Yes." And so I was talking, she was so sweet. So I was talking to her and she was like, "So is your podcast the type, like true crime podcast, the type where it's like really scary, like you shouldn't listen before bed?" And I was like, "No."
no.
I said, "We are to the best that we can be,
Yes.
very respectful
Hmm.
to the case,
Yeah.
especially the victims or survivors.
Hmm.
And we try to bring prevention and awareness, right? Like that's our big goal. But yes, we talk about the crime and all that. But I said, but we don't talk about the nitty-gritty, awful details of a crime. We'll say what happened, like a blanket statement, but I'm not going to like share details. And I think you saying that about, like be mindful of what you're listening to, like that's part of it,
Yes.
you know?
Our clients sometimes listen to us going to bed because they find it comforting, which
Mm-hmm.
is,
Mm-hmm.
do you? I mean, I like true crime a lot.
Right.
This is, what's his name? Keith Morrison. Love his voice. The Dateline guy.
Dateline. Yeah, I love him.
Love his voice. I could fall asleep to his voice. I've been listening to it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes, in the
Mm-hmm.
spirit of having a really catchy narrative, particularly when they do like a whole season on one case, it can be fascinating to listen to. But when you're trying to make the story fit the narrative, sometimes you have to bend things in a way that's not
Mm-hmm.
ethical, leans a little too hard
Mm-hmm.
there, a little too hard here. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, this one really made me think, especially in the context of my own story and my own understanding.
Yeah.
And, it feels unfair kind of on all sides when crap
Yeah.
like this happens, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
are
No.
real things that happen to people. And
Do you know what those men are doing now?
yes, so they won. I will have to find the number. We could look it up, but They won a suit against Duke. It might have been the county too. They won a pretty big lawsuit, but they are also still associated with this case. And so
Mhm.
part of my hope in discussing it tonight too is just to say like they didn't do the thing. I'm sorry. There's no conspiracy here. They didn't do the thing. Were they involved in some crappy stuff? Yeah, like their buddies on the team and as far as I know, they were involved in whatever was going on with the team that they had these women over, but they did not abuse this woman and it looked so bad. They looked so bad,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, it's a sad case because it does, it increases that narrative of women are hysterical,
Yeah, it
uh,
does.
which is really unfortunate,
I know, that makes me sad.
you know.
We have a few resources for you, mainly the RAIN sexual assault hotline, 1-800-656-4673.
Hmm.
You know, I think about other cases like Brock, what's his bucket? We'll get into him another day. There's a case on the other side of this one, right? So like
Hmm.
it's a never-ending shitstorm of nonsense when it comes to these kind of cases because it all sucks. It's hard to talk about. There's nuances to all of it.
Hmm.
But I will say, even in light of this case and the responsibility that we have to be critical thinkers who wait for details and all of that, I will tell you, I wish that I'd gotten more support when I went through what I went through. And I'm thankful that it didn't go further than it did, but what happened to me was still harmful.
Hmm.
And knowing what I know about college campuses, knowing what I know now in my 40s about predators, that book Predators is so good if you're a parent.
Hmm.
We we have to do the best we can to protect ourselves, and when that's not enough, which we're not responsible for what other people do,
Hmm.
then I really want to empower you to at least tell somebody who can support you, even if you don't feel like you can report it. And that's where a hotline is so good because they can support you without sending it down a path that maybe you're not ready for.
Hmm.
But if we know that most sexual assault perpetrators on college campuses are repeat offenders, if you have the support to report and you can do so safely, I wish I had.
Hmm.
To be honest, I wish that I had because maybe he wouldn't have messed with my sister-in-law, you know? I call her sister.
Hmm.
Sister-in-law feels too formal for us. She feels like a sister, but yeah, I wish I'd done something with it. But also I have grace for myself knowing that there's no perfect way to handle something that happens to us. It's not our
Hmm.
responsibility to know how to handle that perfectly.
I feel like one of them's a lawyer.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, they were going to Duke. I'm sure they've all done just fine, but this was real damaging and I'm sure it's still hard, you know?
Hmm. Pretty sure one of them like works for defendants. It's like a,
You know what? I mean, it makes sense.
if I was in that situation, I might pursue something to find justice for when this happens to other people.
I will tell you. I've been watching this show, what's it called? In presumed innocence
Okay.
or presumed innocent. And she's a criminal defense attorney and she's
Hmm.
amazing. But I don't know that I could be on that side of things, man.
Hmm.
I don't know that I'd be a good prosecutor either because I can think of a million reasons why that's not fair and things happen that are not fair. You know what I mean?
One of them, one of them is an active pro bono. I'm sorry, has an active pro bono practice and is co-counsel with the Georgia Innocence Project,
Oh, that's cool.
representing an incarcerated client in connection with his petition for a right of Appease corpse?
What? That HAB? HAV?
Habeas.
Writ of the habeas? Like habeas corpus?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I have no idea. I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
I don't even know if that's a thing. I'm just trying to spell
Maybe
it out in my
maybe take
head.
that part out, Gare, but he's doing some yeah, he's doing something for people who've been incarcerated.
Oh, our system is so imperfect, and it's also all we have.
Yeah, anyway, hopefully they all moved forward with their lives and
I'm sure they did.
wanted to went into something that was productive.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Crystal's in prison. There's nothing more frustrating than not being believed when something bad happens to you. And there's nothing more frustrating than having somebody say something about you that's not true.
Right.
Like both are awful,
Yeah.
you know? So anyway, I had to bring this one up just because, and it always will come up. Like, and this is the thing with a misogyny undertone sometimes in our culture.
Mm,
If you bring up sexual assault survivors on a campus, you're going to hear people talk about, well, people false report. And what about those people? And the bottom line is it's this is that. This is like the
mm,
one in a million, but that is not the majority. It's just
mm,
not.
mm, mm,
But it is worth talking about, first of all, so that those people can be like, okay, we've got you.
mm,
Yes,
mm,
it did happen, but because it happened on this grand of a scale, even that informed a lot of people's unconscious bias
mm.
about victims and their what they report. So thank you guys for joining us for this case. I hope this made you think a little bit today and maybe influences you to be as ethical as possible in what you consume in your true crime or what you create if you're a fellow creator. And we will see you all next week. As always,
Bye, forensic friends.
I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.